Hello everyone, my name is deyaniracavazos and I am an LPC from the state of Texas, specifically based in McAllen, Texas. Welcome back to my channel, bienvenidos, or hi if this is your first time ever clicking on any of my videos. In today's video, I am bringing you all along for 2 days of CEUs of trainings. According to the Texas State Board in our current rulebook, this is how many continued education hours LPCs have to complete. Now this does not apply to LPCAs. You do not have the requirement to complete CEUs, but since I'm an LPC, I'm required to, and so the first training that I decided to go ahead and do is specific to psychological testing and assessments with a little bit more of a focus on ADHD and autism. Bring you all along for those 2 days, and at the end of the video, we're gonna go ahead and really talk about career opportunities for LPCAs and LPCs and what we can do with psychological testing and assessments. I will go ahead and leave links in my description box about the training and the LPC-S who did the training down below if you want more information on that or want to go ahead and ask if future trainings will be held. But I decided to do this video because I loved the training and I loved getting that continued education. Aside from what I learned in grad school, it was really good to really focus in on the areas that I wanted to. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and take you back in time to day 1 of my training. Let's go ahead and get started with this video. Morning everyone, buenos dias. I'm going to start my first training day at 9 a.m. today. I will go ahead and talk to you all during my first break.
Talking about how to administer and interpret the tests, and then we'll move into report writing, billing, and business aspects. This is the codified law right here. Practice of professional counseling means the application of mental health, psychotherapeutic, and human development principles to conduct assessments and evaluations.
Okay everyone, so we are on a quick little 15-minute break. It's 10:32. We'll be back at 10:45, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and step on my treadmill for a little bit para caminar un poquito, despejar la mente, just to give myself a little bit of a mental break and move my body because sitting down during a long hour training like this just takes me back to grad school and I cannot. So I'm gonna go ahead and just walk for a little bit, watch YouTube, probably have a little snack too, and then I'll be back at 10:45. But I have so much to share with y'all, like so many interesting things. I'm loving this training so much. I'm so excited about it. Okay everyone, so it is noon and I'm currently on my lunch break. We're all on our lunch break and we're all going to come back at 1:15. So I have a good amount of time to go ahead and eat. I'm really glad that I ended up going this morning to pick up some Fork to Fit meals, just basically like meal prepped healthy meals that I can just heat up during training. And I highly recommend like meal prepping or having something like that during training. It just saves time. Training has been going really good so far, but I am really restless. You know, we're getting into that restless territory. So I'm gonna eat lunch and then get on the treadmill a little bit more. Basically gonna be really stationary. So I definitely wanna get some movement in. I'm definitely going to debrief with you all once I go through the whole training. Check in with you all later. Gonna go ahead and get my walk in and watch some YouTube. Let's get this walk in.
Bake it till you make it is a sweet confection of a novel, perfect story to curl up with while doing a cupcake on the side. How cute! This looks like a cutesy little wreath.
And waving the Shalonian flag in front of me to distract everyone. The topic is whether or not against the original poster, but still.
Hi everyone, so it is day 2 of my training, final day of training, and it is currently 12 p.m. So we are on lunch break right now. I didn't even film this morning because yesterday I was so mentally tired. As the trainer said, our mind was like goo pretty much after everything that we learned and we were soaking up. And so this morning we just have continued to learn. And again, I'm going to debrief after and share a bunch of really cool tidbits with you all. But I'm going to show you my little setup right now. So because the trainings are hours long, something that I found is I need to have like a little side activity that gives my brain a little bit of a break. So I brought my little coloring book stuff off here to the side. So I'm paying attention, but sometimes we get like a little 10-15 minute break, or sometimes there's something that doesn't require me to be looking at. You know, I'm listening as we're not always looking at graphs. And so I take a little mental break and color for a little bit, and that has helped me sustain myself. And right now I'm gonna go ahead and just heat up one of the lunches that I ended up buying. I ordered groceries to pick up for later tonight. And I didn't book any clients today. I booked one client yesterday and my mind was just completely done, and I was still really happy to see my client, but I realized it's really good that I didn't book any of my therapy clients this Friday. So good job past me for deciding to not see clients on Friday. That way my mind can really be focused in on the training. Started my morning with getting a walk in, so I did like 45 minutes a walk on my treadmill, had breakfast, woke up like at 6 a.m. so I could feel like I actually had a morning, since the training starts at 9 a.m. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and just decompress for the lunch break hour and answer some of my consultation clients that asked me some questions, but watch some YouTube, kick back, relax for a bit, because there's definitely a lot of information to soak up, which is really important. So I will talk to you all later.
That I would recommend in regards to further continuing ed. And then of course I do more trainings here and there throughout the year.
Okay everyone, so we made it to the end of the video. Let's go ahead and debrief and chat about everything that I learned. Like I said earlier, I'm really excited to share everything with you all, because the more knowledge we have about our career opportunities, the more we know, the more options we have, and the better decisions we can make for ourselves in our career when we go into grad school and we prep what direction, what courses, what specialties we want to take. And before we go on, huge disclaimer, please remember that the information that I'm going to share is for LPC Associates, LPCs, and students in counseling programs that are on a licensed professional counselor track. So if you're a psychologist or from any other program, from a social work program, LMFT, this specific information is not for you, and you're more than welcome to still watch, and to hear about it, because I think it is really important that we know what each of us do in our career fields, because the more resources we have and knowledge we have, the more knowledgeable we are, and the more resources we can give to our clients, especially when it comes to networking and also referrals for our clients. Even though we're all governed by the Texas State Board, we all have our own individual rule books that we need to adhere to. So it is important that you go by the rule book that is dedicated to your license. And if you're curious, if you're a student or if you're already out in the field or just graduated and you want to know where to look for that, you would be able to look for your rule book depending on your specific license here. As an LPC, of course, we would look at the consolidated rule book for licensed professional counselors, and that goes for LPC Associates as well in Texas. And the same is true even if you're from a different state. It's important to look at the rule book that is for your state. And a lot of the information that I am going to share does cross over into other states who do allow pre-licensed counselors and LPCs, or whatever they're called in your state, to be able to do psychological assessments and testing. But again, that is something that is important for you to make sure that is allowed in your state through your state board. Now, y'all know I like to keep it real with you all, and whenever licensed professional counselors have conversations like this, there is always someone in a psychology program or who is a psychologist who has something to say about it. And please always remember to keep things respectful in the comment section, because I do not allow any form of disrespect towards me or toward any other counselors or students in my comment section. There is no one who is going to know better about our rule book and what we are allowed or not allowed to do than those of us who are licensed and who adhere to our rule books. I wish I didn't have to say that, but I have encountered all kinds of different people in the fields, and there is always someone, who has something to say about it. And that's why I always encourage you, no matter what you hear about on my channel, it is important that you speak with your own supervisors and that you look at the rule book yourself and make your own decisions, and that you reach out to the Texas State Board directly if you have any questions or any concerns. Please remember, I am not the Texas State Board. So as an LPC, I am just here sharing resources and what I've learned, because there's a lot of things that I wish I had known before going into my grad school program. And if I can help someone else along their journey, that is why I made this channel, and that is why I am here. So my master's program was the Clinical Rehabilitation Counseling program from UTRGV. And in our program, we did focus in on, even in undergrad and grad school, we had assessment and testing courses. In accordance with the law and in accordance with what we've learned, we are able to perform psychological testing and evaluations as LPCs and LPC associates, which is really cool. Now, the reason why I ended up taking this training is because I wanted to get really specific and know the ins and outs of how this works, because we learn so much in grad school, and some of us may focus on specific specialties or courses a little bit more than others. Part of my experience too during my practicum was working with a psychologist, and so I did the report writing that comes with the psychological testing that you're doing, and I got to observe the test being administered, so I was a part of all of that. It was definitely a really great experience, and I learned so much. None of what I was learning was foreign to me, which is a great feeling, right? When you're sitting in a training, but it was so detailed, and the trainer did such an amazing job when it came to specifics, like specifically wanting to work with clients who might have ADHD or autism, knowing what tests to utilize or the options that we have. The trainer was an LPC-S who also has his own private practice, and he is incredibly knowledgeable with over 10 years of experience. And I know he specialized more in forensics, but he has experience in all kinds of testing, and it was incredible just to sit in there and listen to his knowledge and everything that he was sharing. I was definitely geeking out. And what he did share with us is that in his specific practice, he has LPC Associates and LPCs who do the psychological evaluations and testing, and they receive further training there from him and from the other LPCs. And I love how clear he made it that the only one who really can determine an LPC Associate's limitations isn't the law, because the law is clear on what LPC Associates are able to do, which is the same thing that an LPC can do. But the only one who does determine an LPC's limitations is their supervisor, who they are supervised during their licensure as an LPC associate. So if your supervisor doesn't want you doing psychological assessments and doesn't want to support you with that, that is their choice, and they have the right to do that, just like you have the right as an LPC associate to find a supervisor who will support you in that, whether it be that you want to start your private practice as an LPC associate in Texas, which you can do. And I still hear things from other associates that they're being told the opposite by other supervisors. Please, if you are a supervisor, speak directly with the Texas State Board, because the law has changed and LPC associates can have their private practice. But as a supervisor, you have the right to decide if you want to support an LPC associate who wants to do that, or if you don't, or if you have certain requirements. And the LPC associate also has the right to seek a different supervisor to support them in that if they want to. The trainer let us know that LCSWs and LMFTs are also able to conduct psychological assessments and testing if they want to. So definitely something, if you're in those programs and you are interested in really pursuing that, I suggest really checking in with your own supervisors about that, because again, I am an LPC, so I don't know if that's true or not. That's just what I heard in my training. But if you're interested, it's definitely a question worth asking. So the really cool thing about psychological assessment and testing is that if you want to have your private practice, you can do that. If you want to go ahead and do both, where you provide therapy but you also do the testing, you are also able to do that. If you only want to provide therapy, that is another career option. But again, the most important thing is if you are an LPC associate, you have to, first of all, be supervised. Even if you have your own private practice and you're self-employed, you have to be supervised. You cannot just graduate and start your private practice and not go through the Texas State Board and be unsupervised. You'd be breaking the law. I want to make sure that I make that really clear. So the most important thing is finding a supervisor who can support you on wanting to open up your private practice or wanting to conduct psychological assessments and testing, and really being clear and communicating that those are your plans with your supervisor so that they can support you. And some supervisors might have knowledge in those areas and they're able to support you in that way, versus other supervisors might be upfront with you and let you know what, this is not my area of expertise, but if you go receive additional training, I am willing to support you with this, just so I know that you feel competent in this area and you feel confident that you can service the community in this way. So in accordance with our consolidated rulebook for professional counselors, this is what the law states. Section 503.003 on page 155 through 156 says, in this chapter, practice of professional counseling means the application of mental health, psychotherapeutic, and human development principles to facilitate human development and adjustment throughout life, prevent, assess, evaluate, and treat mental, emotional, or behavioral disorders and associated distresses that interfere with mental health. It also means that we can conduct assessments and evaluations to establish treatment goals and objectives, and plan, implement, and evaluate treatment plans using counseling treatment interventions that include counseling, assessment, consulting, and referral. Now, if we move down a little bit further, it defines what assessment means for us as licensed professional counselors and associates. Assessment means the selection, administration, scoring, and interpretation of an instrument designed to assess an individual's aptitudes, attitudes, abilities, achievements, interests, personal characteristics, disabilities, and mental, emotional, and behavioral disorders, and the use of methods and techniques for understanding human behavior that may include the evaluation, assessment, and treatment by counseling methods, techniques, and procedures for mental and emotional disorders, alcoholism, and substance abuse, and conduct disorders. The term does not include the use of standardized projective techniques or permit the diagnosis of a physical condition or disorder. So there you have it. That is the law, and I love that our trainer really went over what the law is, how to understand it. If you are ever questioned by someone outside of your field or anyone else, this is what you refer them to. And I loved hearing about this in our training because I also heard about it in grad school, but hearing about it in training was such a good refresher. So if you're like me, you had to take statistics courses in undergrad. So if you really want to get a refresher, and this is a specialty that you really want to focus in on, you're headed into grad school and you're thinking, you know what, I thought that I wanted to do therapy, but I really just want to focus in on conducting psychological assessment and testing, or I want to do both. I'm going to give you some suggestions of what you can do. So that way, when you come out of your program and you're doing your internship at practicum, you feel like, you know what, I am really prepared in this specialty that I want to go ahead and focus on. So if you wanted to take a refresher course in statistics, you can. If your program allows you to, something else that you can do is really space out the courses related to research, testing, and assessment a little bit further down toward the end of your program. That way, when it comes to your practicum and internship, if you want to, you can go ahead and work under a psychologist or under a counselor who specifically conducts these psychological assessments and testing. That way, there's not so much space in between these courses and everything is nice and fresh for you. And you're really getting that training and that in-person experience and being able to focus in on the areas of specialty that you care about. Now, if you really want to do both, maybe you could split it where you do either your practicum or internship that focuses on the assessments and testing, and then you do the other one with a therapist. And finding internship sites can be really difficult, so it's something that you can gradually look into when you're in grad school. So the training that I ended up taking was meant to help LPC associates and LPCs be able to know that they can do the psychological assessment and testing online, which was really helpful for me because I'm a virtual mental health therapist, so I see my clients only online, and it was really good to learn about how I can do that online, best practices. And I will go ahead and link in the description box the information of the LPC-S who hosted this training. They ended up doing this through eventbrite.com. So if you're ever wondering, like, are there any trainings in my area or virtual trainings, you can also look on eventbrite.com to see what's out there. But if this is a specific interest of yours, you can go ahead and directly contact this LPC-S to see if there's any trainings in the future or if there's any individual consultation that he offers. And again, I want to make super clear that I am not affiliated in any kind of way. I don't personally know this counselor. I'm just a fellow LPC who went to a training that her past supervisor suggested, and I loved it and I found it so helpful, and I love being able to share things with you all, and I've genuinely loved and learned from. And if it's an interest of yours, I want to encourage you to pursue the things that interest you. There is a really high need for professionals to be able to conduct testing and assessments because there are not enough professionals who can do it. I know from my own experience that it has been so frustrating and so sad to see how many clients have to wait months and months to be able to finally be seen for psychological testing and assessment, and continues to get better because there are more and more professionals who are now able to do this. But even for me, it was really frustrating where one of my own clients ended up going to get evaluated to rule out ADHD or possible autism or confirm it, and they were just given the test results, no explanation as to what they meant or interpretation. And thankfully, me as a counselor, because I am able to do that, I went through it with them and I was able to explain to them and interpret it for them. And I share that to encourage you all that this is such important work if it's something that you're interested in. That is it for this video, everyone. I really hope that you found it helpful and you got to learn a little bit more about possible career options that you have as an LPCA and as an LPC. Let me know down in the comment section if you knew about this or if it was something that you had heard of but you didn't really know the details about how to go about it. And also feel free to let me know if you have any questions. Thank you so much for watching this video, everyone. Take care, and I will go ahead and see you in my next video. Bye.